War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to E2C Network. You are about to watch, either live or on the replay, a live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 9, with myself, Kyle, and Mr. Austin Scott. Austin, welcome back.
Thanks, War Eagle, everybody. Happy bye week. Hope everyone had a nice, restful weekend without stressing about Auburn football. And yeah, I had a great weekend. I'm looking forward to talking to our usual folks and
Yep.
recording episode 9.
Yes, 9 episodes, man. We'll be celebrating 10 next week. I know that's looking
We
ahead.
made
You're
it.
not supposed to do that, but it is what it is. So yeah, we're spend the first couple of minutes here just saying hello to you all. I will stay a little bit after the show to chat it up some more if you guys would like to. Just as a reminder, we will not be conversing a lot during the stream. We'll remind you one more time before we get started. But right now in the chat, post where you're watching from, City State International with a War Eagle. Let us know that you're here so we can say hello to you, like Linda, like WT. Madden, who's posting some other things. Hey, I don't know what that's about. But thanks for being here. So you guys get to exclusively have this on YouTube. No Facebook, no Twitter. It's something we just do for all of you. Devin, you are getting featured on the episode this time because you submitted a question. And so we will honor that by, and just that's for anybody, not just our Booster Club members. If you guys ever want us to kind of tackle a specific topic, pitch it out there. If we've got an open slot, there's not a whole lot to talk about, those are helpful to have at that time. But I'm excited about the things that we'll discuss this week. Austin, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, nothing. Got back from Birmingham today. Seeing some in-laws and family. It was a good weekend, and yeah, I just didn't watch a lot of football this weekend. I think with Auburn off, it just was not on the forefront of my mind too much, but certainly some good games, certainly some good things happening around Auburn. We'll touch on all that and more. Sounds like we got a whole lot to talk about. Still a hot volleyball team, a soccer team struggling, and a
Which is
basketball
weird.
scrimmage that happened. So,
Yeah. Did
all sorts of
any
things.
information come out about that basketball scrimmage?
I saw a few things and heard a few things we can talk about if we want on the episode.
I've
But
been unplugged this week from that, so I knew it was happening. And last time I heard, Bruce said it was supposed to be pretty under wraps, but I'm sure
yeah,
information gets out, So
it's the world we live in these days.
it is, and I always wonder too, because pull the curtain back here a little bit, being a media personnel, we're in having certain levels of access to athletic things. We're told some things we can and can't do. So I'm always intrigued by how information gets out there. If there's sometimes rules against sharing information. So it's always interesting to see. Devin says it was nice to have an off week. Love watching the volleyball team. That was a lot of fun. I was tuned in too. I was sitting right here. Very exciting one to end. It seems like everybody's giving. We'll talk about it in there a little bit more. We want to save that for the show. Also, I don't know if you knew this yet, but I will kind of address it at the very start of the show. We are doing right now a subscriber giveaway on the YouTube channel. From now until we reach 5,000 subscribers. Yes, you heard me right. 5,000 subscribers. We are going to be once we reach that point, we're going to be doing a giveaway of a signed Auburn football, not one of the ones behind me, but it's back there. You just can't see it. And some other prizes. We've just put out a video today explaining all of that with the full rules and regulations all listed on there. So go check that out. For those of you that are showing up because you saw that, because every time that you come to a video, whether it's a live stream, edited video, a short, and leave a comment, you get entered. That's an entry into the drawing, so to speak, because if you watch that video, you'll understand how it works. So the live stream chats do not count towards that, but leaving a comment afterwards will count towards that. So just want to make sure we address that right up at the front there. We appreciate a lot of you that are tuning in, signing up, subscribing because of that. I know that gets everybody a little bit excited, but that is available now for everybody. So Austin, I guess, you could subscribe if you wanted to win one, but
I think I would be omitted if my name
You
was
probably
gone,
would.
but,
You probably would. I thought about that too. Jessica obviously is my wife is subscribed, and I was like, what happens if she's the winner? Because it will be truly. I have a little system that I figured out how I'm randomly going to draw this
okay,
person, and I'm like, that truly could be it. Once we reach 5,000, the odds are
right.
it's not going to be her. It's not going to be anybody with the E2C network, but it's just one of those
Yeah,
things that's like, you know, somehow that will be my luck that it will happen. We'll
sure.
cross. I'll use my favorite phrase. We will cross that bridge when we come to it. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get this thing rolling tonight. Again, as a final reminder, we will be not addressing the chat as much, if at all, during this. I'm going to put the reminder up right now. If you guys in chat that'll be watching live will help remind people of that. You never know, we might. It is just us recording a podcast, 3 different segments for roughly 30 minutes. And I will say goodbye to Austin at the end of it, and I'll hang around for a little bit in that. Okay, you want to save that question for Wednesday night. Yeah, we're not sure we want to get into it tonight. Yeah, don't stir up trouble, Devin. We're going to stir up enough of it tonight, I'm sure, anyway, with
That's
some
right.
of the things
It's
that
what
we
we aim to please.
I think we want to walk that fine line, Austin, between stirring up trouble and staying away from trouble. If we can like just somehow hover over that line, I think that's probably the sweet spot.
I agree. I like that. I like that's a sweet spot I like to stay in all aspects of life is stirring up trouble and
Yeah, you don't want to be boring, right? You just want to
no,
just kind
no,
of get
make,
just kind of like poke the bear and run. Poke the bear and run.
yeah,
That's all you got to do.
make life just a little bit interesting.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to enter into our record period right now in 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience, including a wide variety of athletic teams and our passion and sometimes craziness for it, including a plethora of academics from agriculture to engineering to veterinary sciences to the liberal arts, including not just the people that live on campus for a short time, live in the town, that live across this nation, across this world, that consider them parts of the Auburn family. It's about everything and everyone that considers themselves part of the Auburn experience. And that is what we will be detailing on episode 9 of the Auburn Experience podcast with myself, your host, Kyle Loomis, and my co-host, the best one in the world sometimes, Austin Scott. Austin, welcome back to the show.
Sometimes being the key word. Thanks for having me, Kyle. War Eagle, everybody, and looking forward to episode 9 and some good topics of this week that really capture the whole of the Auburn experience. Kyle hit on it there in the intro, but the people, we always love to talk about the people that make up the Auburn experience. It was a big week for along those lines we'll get into, but plenty of athletic success on a bye week outside of football. And yeah, looking forward to episode 9.
Right, right. We've got 2 main topics that we want to hit on the show, but we like to spend the first little bit just kind of catching up and talking about what's been the most prevalent topic. And one of those during a bye week, you'd think it's hard to come up with things to discuss, and maybe to some degree, we're not really thinking about football that much. We're going to discuss in one segment the state of the football program right now and kind of really just get our feels out about it. But I guess we just really want to kind of bounce around and talk about some of the other things that happened for Auburn over the last week, the bye week, where attention wasn't so diverted onto
Mm,
Auburn football as it has been for the last 7 weeks or so, 7 to 8 weeks. The volleyball team, again, I shudder every time we mention them because I feel responsible for their first loss. Again, that was your fault, Austin, not mine. We've already
of
clarified
course.
that several times, but I guess I have to vicariously take ownership of it because I'm part of this thing for some reason. I keep signing up for more podcasts. You'd think I would learn at some point. Um, but that volleyball team, man, they are fun to watch, aren't they?
They sure are. Yeah, got a big win Friday against Tennessee. Lost just their second loss of the season, I think, at Mizzou. I want to say, or in the midweek game. So yeah, gosh, they're fun, and that the arena is getting a little busier every
They
time they're in
are.
town, and so that's great. I love seeing that. Around town, we hear locally the Brad Log pops in on the radios and gives the Auburn spotlight, the Auburn athletics today. And he keeps talking about the crowds are getting bigger and bigger in Neville Arena for the volleyball team. So good for them. They're exciting. It's pretty remarkable what Coach Crouch has been able to do. Our good buddy Clint Richardson tweeted about that over the weekend. I saw, and I mean, you talk about basketball used to draw nobody, volleyball used to draw nobody, and they weren't great of a program, and it's impressive what he's been able to do in a shorter period of time.
Well, and to, give credit where credit's due to Andy Burcham, recently discussing with him, I think it was on This Week in Auburn Volleyball, the series that they do there. And it was one of those things. And they asked him, and, people keep asking Coach Crouch, why did you come to Auburn when you're out at USC? Volleyball kind of gets a
Of
little bit more
course,
clout out there. And he's like, have you not been to the facilities? Have you not seen this fan base? If you
yeah,
give them a reason, they will show up. Not just they will follow you, they will get excited about you, but they will
yeah,
show up too. And I think you're finally starting to see that, which is really, really just crazy because I just, even 2 seasons ago, maybe a season ago, when you first got here, I mean, I just walked in and found whatever seat I wanted for volleyball.
of
Not that they
course.
weren't doing great then, but it just shows you where they're coming from. So it's continued to be remarkable. Are they going to have more bumps in the road? Probably, least because we're talking about it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But it's been so nice to see Auburn volleyball come across my to watch screen and be like, yeah, give
Absolutely,
me some of that action. I need that right now because we haven't had that in a long time.
absolutely. No, a long time, and it's fun. I think it's helping people, uh, Auburn people kind of find a new thing to learn about, and that always garners
And
more
we need that
interest.
right now.
Sure do, sure do. I think it's a healthy welcome for most Auburn folks. So it's fun. I have not been able to get out there to a match yet, and I'd really like to. So maybe I'll have to do that pretty soon and report back what my findings from
live
the scene.
from live from the Nev. By the way, I am not going to let up on this until I get everybody calling it the Nev, because you know why they call it the
The
Nev?
Nav.
Because the opponent never wins there. Ah,
Oh my
ah.
gosh, is
Hey,
that
you're
as
the
bad as my crypto digital arena? I don't think so.
no, the Nev is good. Come on. Listen, don't
It's
dog the
pretty good.
Nev. It's
It's
pretty
pretty
good.
good.
I,
It'll
I'm
catch
gonna
on.
get I'm gonna
Students
make it
love
happen.
abbreviations. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
I'm gonna make it happen at some point. Another program that obviously is very prevalent right now, but is having some struggles this year, which is really weird, is soccer. But I'm gonna
Mm,
be honest with you. I'm not saying this is the fault of the soccer program, because this year they switched to this whole you're not going to have shootouts at the end. There's no overtime.
yeah,
I think you have your stoppage time and that's it. For those of you that aren't aware,
yeah,
because of they don't have timeouts in a soccer match, they give them extra time for the time that's taken up for subbing people in and stuff like that. Outside of that, that's all you get. And it's frustrating because you have all these 0-0 matches, or the end in matches, 1-1 matches. And listen, soccer doesn't get a lot of excitement about it in our part of the world because of the low scoring nature of it already. It's just frustrating. I mean, can you think of any reason why they chose to change that up for at least SEC soccer this year? I think NCAA soccer as a whole.
yeah. No, I mean, the only thing I can think of is if they just want to shorten games, get kids back on campuses. They usually play on Sundays. They play in during the week. Today they tied at LSU. That's quite a trip back. I don't know. I hate it because no one loves a tie, right? No one,
I mean,
everyone would just rather win or lose. But um, yeah, it's just been frustrating.
it really is, because I think this team is very competitive and it's not showing up because of the amount of ties. Now they've had some
Yeah,
losses that I think that not a lot of us were anticipating, but I think it looks a lot better on paper, if you're not having all those ties on there. And I'm not a soccer aficionado. I love Coach Hoppa. I love her program. Year in and year
absolutely.
out, she has a lot of consistency. This seems to be some sort of a down year right now, but they still have a lot to play for. Um, I hate it for them, and it seems like when I've heard some interviews about it, not just from Auburn soccer, but others, like it seems there seems to be a little bit of frustration that they switched to this whole no overtime situation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
think so.
speaking of frustrations, last thing I want to hit in the first little segment here. Do you know how frustrating it is to watch? You know, how about this? Let me put this out there. You know that ex that you had that at the time you had some harsh feelings about, but then you just look at them over there having the time of their life with their new person, and you're just like, did I miss something?
Well, it's just they look a little brighter. Maybe it's their clothes. Maybe they're wearing some new neon clothes, and you're just like, they look like they're having fun out there. They're focused. It's just it look like they might
they're
just
dark
be a dark
horses for the
horse over
Heisman.
there. It's just fascinating to look over there and see sometimes. But I think I know where you're going here.
Bo Nix, boy, have a day, sir. What was it? 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, the
Yeah.
way that, did you see that dime he dropped of a
Mm,
pass? I mean, I didn't believe it. I thought, y'all are TV announcers. They're playing everything. Beautiful pass.
it
Like,
really was.
eh, listen, I know this is a topic that makes everybody frustrated because you've already decided if you're in the I hate Bo camp, or if you're in the, I wish we still had Bo camp. And we're not trying to sit here. Well, we think you should be on one side of this equation, but we're not going to try to. We know that's a lost cause. Listen, I'm one of the people that often says, when people leave the program, if it's on good terms, let them kind of go do that, celebrate them, but let's not sit here and just like nitpick each other about the whole time. But there is this kind of feeling there at the same time. It's like, hey guys, this kind of proves he wasn't the issue, or at least he wasn't the
Yeah,
biggest issue. How about this?
the
Bo had
biggest.
his issue. Bo had his issues, his bad tendencies that were exasperated by the time he had here at Auburn, but he was not the biggest issue. And yes, is he playing in the Pac-12 where they don't have defense, or they're just not as good? We get it. I'm just trying to cover every argument that's going to be brought up when someone
Yeah,
hears this. We get it. We're not trying to say that we made the world's biggest mistake by letting Bo Nix go. And there's also those people that are going to be like, oh, he chose us, and hate the man, or he chose the other people, how dare he? I'm like, look at the context of this situation, man. Look what he had to deal with. I don't know. I'm just
yeah.
happy for the
No,
dude.
Bo's always going to be tied to Auburn. It's how it's going to be
He's a
forever.
graduate.
With he's a graduate with his last name, and a family legacy. He's always going to be tied to Auburn, for better or worse, among the folks. But it doesn't discount he's doing well, and props to him. We've talked about this on this show before. He went somewhere where he could excel and had better resources around him that were the evidence of some of his tendencies here. His offensive line's phenomenal. He's got playmakers at the receiver position, and they're a top 10 team. They got thrashed by Georgia, and no one's going to forget that. It was also the first game of a first coach, or a coach's first year in his first season, playing a team he just came from. So it's kind of ridiculous that there's still these people that care so much about Bo Nix
Seeing
wanting
him
to fail.
fail.
To me,
Yeah.
I don't know why we're so wrapped up in it. Maybe if we had our own team that we could get a little more excited about, but that would
I, lo- I, lo- I
relieve
love
some
the
of
hand
that.
motions that you're making right now, by the way. Those that are listening on the
People,
podcast are like, I can't see this, but it's funny.
just come back and watch. It ties everything together, folks. But it's just, I don't understand why we can't be like, good for him. He found a place that he can excel, whether it's youth, whatever your opinion of the Pac-12 is or not. He had 5 touchdowns on Saturday. By the way, Auburn has 5 passing touchdowns on the year.
Don't. Oh, God.
So
You said it.
I don't know why we can't be excited for him. He's always going to be tied to Auburn. You can't tell me the kid's not always going to love Auburn. So good for Bo, good for Oregon. Their uniforms are absolutely disgusting, and I have no
Atrocious.
idea why their biggest game of the year on prime time they wore that. I'm all for, hey, look, I know
Not the pink stuff. Not the
before
pink
we
stuff.
get
We're
into
just
details and comments, I am against breast cancer. I completely get that's what the pink was for. But folks, that we got those people up there in Oregon with Nike are smart, and they just put together colors, which I just think they don't even know what they're doing in the middle of the night. But I thought if they just have UCLA in their road kind of good blue and white color versus Oregon in their nice green and white, it would have looked just perfect. Of course, they're playing at like 11:30 a.m. on the West Coast, but uh, I don't know how we got on jerseys with Oregon, but good
because
for
Clint
Bo.
Richards.
It
I'm
was fun to
sorry.
watch.
I was not aware that I invited Clint Richardson onto this show. Watch out,
I
Clint.
the I just man, I can't believe I turned on that game and I saw yellow and black and pink and Oh,
Yeah, it was a
oh,
lot of things. It was a lot of things to take in, and a lot of it I'm sure about. But what I am sure of this, Bo Nix is having fun and is a dark horse for the Heisman.
truly. Like true, like that started as a joke. This year it's true, folks. He's a dark horse.
Well, let's move on and talk about our football team just a little bit because it is a bye week, right? There's a lot of time to kind of sit back, a lot of extra time to reflect, over reflect, get over frustrated, and try to really understand where we are, where we may or may not be heading, and what the outlook of this football program is right now. And we could have talked about this last week on episode 8 for the 2022 season. But I felt like this extra week of just kind of sitting back and let it all sink in would be healthy for you and me and for everybody else, because, that's just,
Yeah.
we all needed a reprieve probably, even though everybody got stirred up about Bo and Gus this week because of things that happened in the bye week. But either way, I guess, Austin, I want us to be as honest as we can be while still being kind at the same time. What is your assessment of this football program right now, just
Yeah.
personally?
It's what everyone's asking. People who have no business talking about it in the national media are loving to talk about it. They're 3-4. 3-4 in a bye week, with 5 games left to play. 1, 2, 3 at home? Yes,
Yes.
3 at
Yep.
home, 2 on the road. Um, I think a lot of it has to do with there's still some questions. You go into the bye week with an offensive performance where you're like, "Okay, that's some good things. How much does it have to do with Auburn? How much does it have to do with Ole Miss's defense?" Now we see yesterday, Ole Miss's defense gets absolutely torched in Death Valley.
Right.
So there's some questions, right? I think a lot of things everyone wants to talk about what's going to happen with the coaching staff. What's going to happen? Should it have already happened? Is it going to happen at the end of the year? Is it going to happen, period, at this point? Um, I think a lot of people would have thought after the Penn State game and after the LSU game, this team's headed on a really bad path right now. They're
Right.
still 3-4, and their next 4 opponents not look very talented or good. They're on a bad trajectory as well. And to my co-host point, he called that last week or 2 weeks ago about
It's
where they
like
were
I've
headed.
been watching football or something, folks. Like, I don't
He
know. I mean, when maybe that says more about me that I'm too invested in this stuff. That's probably the truth there, to be honest with you. But it's almost like I've been watching this thing for a while.
You're just focused and having fun.
That's
Anyway,
right. I'm a
so
dark horse for the Heisman of
let's not get
podcasting.
ahead of ourselves. Okay.
No,
Next
that's
next
that point stands. That is true. I will accept that criticism.
next week we've got Arkansas. They were off this past week. They've been punched in the mouth a few weeks here in a row. The week after that, at Mississippi State, they've been punched in the mouth a couple weeks in a row. Then it's A&M. Who knows what's happening over there? They're starting to be talked about with their own coaching issues. They lost to South Carolina yesterday, folks, and it was not pretty. And then it's Western Kentucky and then Alabama. And so you're sitting here looking at this and you're like, can this team go 7-5? Then what happens? You've got let's just say they go 6-6 and you're in a bowl game. 7-5, I'm sorry, 7-6, 8-5. What are we doing here, folks? If a recruiting starts picking up a little bit, because that's essentially what I think it's going to come down to, is the recruiting has to kind of start having an uptick with these wins, which is certainly possible.
Right.
Um, and and things are going to start getting really interesting.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens. It's a very odd time halfway through the year. I don't think people would have expected us to be at um, a few weeks ago. We'll see what happens. I still think a change is going to be made. I think there's probably still been a little too much bad blood between certain folks, but
Too
we'll see. We'll see.
right.
Winning can solve a lot of relationships. So
You sound like a marriage counselor right now. Um, yeah. So just to be clarified, not that you're saying that you wish or not wish for this. You're just saying your feeling is that there will be a change in the head coach at the end of the season. That's just what you think right now.
as we stand right here in the last couple of weeks, that's what I've still felt. Now they win 4 in a row. I don't. All bets are off, in
Right.
my opinion. Who
Right.
knows?
So, and this, when I address that question too, here's what I'll say. Everybody think back to when Kyle made on the YouTube channel his season prediction of 9-3. Mm, that hurt. Um, eh, I said I'm making that with the information that I have at the time. So, same thing at Austin saying here. I'm going to reiterate.
Yeah.
I'm making this statement with the information I have at hand right now. That I do think that the if you want to talk about tea leaves and stuff like that, the feeling is, the sentiment is, the seem to be information out there would indicate that there would probably be a change no matter what happens at this point. However, and this is frankly what every Auburn fan should be wishing for, because that just means that you're a good fan, is that this team figures it out and goes 5-0 in the back half here and goes to a better bowl than the Birmingham Bowl. Probably not going to happen at this rate, but like that should be your hope, that they get this figured out. I get that you don't like the dude. You've made that evident on Twitter. We
Yeah.
heard you the first time. First little snappy several series of tweets you had, but you should be hoping that they get this figured out so that we can head in the right direction to get better as a whole, because that means that your team suffers more. Yes, so the answer to that statement that I just said for most people in that camp are going to be, well, if we get a better coach, we are not guaranteed that. That's what we said the last time we made a change. And right now, that doesn't look too good, does it? My thing is, I am not happy. I think that's what gets missed a lot when I talk about support, when I talk about positivity, trying to, find a way to be supportive, is that they think that I'm accepting of that. I am pissed off that we are 3-4 at the midpoint or at the bye week. I am beyond upset about that. But I also understand here's my buzzword for everybody who's here on the YouTube channel for context. Like have it come across the screen. Finally, I need to do that. It's like the more you know, instead it goes context.
Yes.
Flies by. The more you know, context.
We need a little hot button.
I gotta get on that. So that's where I'm at, Austin. Would it break my heart if there was a change? No. But am I convinced? Have I seen enough, been told enough to see that that's the best thing for Auburn? I'm not convinced of that yet. But it's not one of those things where I'm going to be like, oh, well, that was stupid, kind of
Sure.
things. There's not a lot right now to be excited about other than one game where we saw an uptick in offensive production, a downtick in defensive production. It'd be nice if those two things went head in hand. I do like what you said earlier, and I don't like so much focus being put on recruiting, but I think if that was in quote unquote some people's eyes better, doing air quotes right now, whatever that better means, we would probably not be having as big an issue. You think that's a fair statement?
I mean, I definitely think if it was up to par with kind of where Auburn is expects to be and has been in over the last decade as a whole, I don't think we're having this issue as much because it's the age-old saying, he's getting his own guys in, right? Like he's
Right.
getting people that he's chosen for his format. The problem is, and I see where a lot of people have issues, is that's not happening and results on the field aren't happening. And so you can't really have both. But I mean, like we just said, if let's include a bowl game in there and let's say you lose in Tuscaloosa, 5-1 down the stretch, there's going to be some tough conversations had and tough feelings turned around. And here's another thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and this wraps into the state of the program. I think it'll be very, 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 very soon, but we don't have an athletic director named still. That individual is going to factor into all this on their own opinion. Now, there's other people's opinions that are hiring that individual that have made probably are formulating their own, and those will be relayed to that individual. But that person's opinion is certainly going to still matter as well because they are now in charge of how that program does as with the rest of the programs.
Yeah, I think honestly, if we had an AD in place, this would, have been over a little bit quicker. I think, just to be frank, Brian can probably thank that Alan Green leaving maybe bought him some time, to be honest. And it was interesting because people were proposing, does that mean that he's going to go quicker if he's going? I'm like, no, that him being here not being here didn't really factor in it. But on the hindsight of this, I'm like, kind of now that there's instability at that stand, that's kind of given him more time.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of whatever gets Auburn better again. And I still believe that can be with Coach Harsin and his staff and his players at the helm. It's frustrating. I don't have a lot of reasons to think that, but that's just my outlook on life and being part of the Auburn family. I'm not saying that anybody else has to do it that way. I just find it to be a little bit more peaceful to have it like that. But doesn't mean that I don't rant and rave behind the scenes. Y'all should see me in my house.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
ugly.
The thing
So.
I know, and this can wrap up kind of our talking about the state of the program if you don't have anything else, is we're about to hit a 5-game stretch that's really important for a lot of people, but it's also Auburn in late October and November, and that is when they love to stir up chaos. Auburn thrives in ruining parties and doing what you don't expect them to in November, and that should make all of us excited, whether you've been pleased or whether you've been impatient or not with the football program so far. It's about to get really interesting, and football only comes around 8 weeks a year, 8 games, home games a
Enjoy
year,
it.
12 weeks. Just enjoy it, folks.
Enjoy
Have
it.
fun. Watch paint highlighter uniforms on the West Coast if you want. Watch,
Somebody having fun.
yeah, someone
know,
being focused. Just do what you got to do. But it's about to be fun. Okay, it's about to be fun, and we'll see what happens. We've talked about how many games were at home to start the year, and even though we were both like, all right, that was a lot to start the year. I'm ready for them to get back. I'm
I
already
miss it.
ready. I'm like, let's come on. I'm ready to welcome them boys home.
I am ready to be back on campus this week. I am
Yeah.
so excited for it. Even with a struggling football team, I'm ready to
Yep.
be back home with my people. All right,
Yes.
let's round out this show a little bit here, and we've got through the not so fun part of it. That discussing the state of the program is never fun right now, but it is the reality. We can't, hide away from it. Let's talk about something that unites everybody. And this is actually a request from one of our viewers, listeners, however she'd like to describe herself out there, Miss Devon. She's also a member of the Booster Club that helps support our content here. She proposed the question or just suggested the topic of Auburn Heyday, which is a very appropriate topic because it just happened not too long ago. Was it last week or the week before that? I can't remember.
It
Last
was this
week.
past Wednesday, I believe, the
That's right.
19th.
Right. That is correct. So Auburn Heyday, I think it's one of those things that a lot of people hear just thrown out there that, you kind of associate it with those traditions. Maybe you don't know a lot about, and, maybe for good reason. It's kind of gets glossed over. I'll be honest with you. For the longest time, Austin, you can take my Auburn card if you need it. I thought that was that and call outs for the sororities there on behind Cater Hall were the same
Yes.
thing. I thought that was them saying hey
Oh.
to their sorority like girls they were inviting in to be part of
I
it.
get that assumption. I can get that.
I'm sorry. I know that's like you all may take the card if you need it. It was the association I had for some reason. But Heyday is actually a more, I'll use this fun word, inclusive thing because it's about everybody, not just a sorority. It's not just about you or me. It's about everybody. It kind of encompasses this whole thing on this show about being part of the Auburn experience. So I want to read you guys real quick. Just you can go to sga.auburn.edu/hey-day. That's sga.auburn.edu/-day. That will take you to the official statement about what Heyday is. I'm going to read you the short little segment just so that we can have the information part of it. And then Austin and I'll discuss our thoughts on it. Dating all the way back to 1947, students who served in World War II were returning back to normalcy here at Auburn University. But upon the return, they felt unseen and unheard here on campus. In response, Auburn University's student body and members of the Student Government Association pushed for a day that would unite the Auburn family and promote a friendly atmosphere known as Heyday, a day where every student got an opportunity to wear a name tag, helping everyone feel a sense of belonging. So that is the basic gist behind it. And, there are other things that happen around it. With social media, it's become a more widely recognized thing because it was mainly just hey, I'm on campus, slap the name tag on, and, say hey to as many people as you can. But it really is, it seems like very simple, but I love this, to be honest with you. Not just because of the story that's behind it, because that is, you can appreciate, even if you've never been through that, how lonely a feeling that can be, coming back from being part of
Mm,
that horrific experience and feeling disconnected in many ways. And one small token, one small action of recognizing that some people feel left out, change the perspective, and has affected what we do to this day. I just think it's a really cool thing, Austin.
yeah, absolutely. I've heard about Heyday for a long time now, over 10 years. My dad introduced me to the concept of Heyday when I was in high school. Had never heard about it. Um, and it is exactly that. It's something that's inclusive and exciting for all, even a little bit exciting for all on campus at the time. It's kind of become this bigger ordeal. I had friends who in SGA while I was at Auburn who worked on making Heyday what it was, and that included getting all the name tags and making sure you have people set up around campus to write people's names and give them to them. There's food on the green space. I think my freshman year we had a baby tiger out there. The
Hmm.
eagle, the Raptor Center is out there with various birds, and so it's become an event that's really fun on campus and everything. But like Kyle said, and how I kind of take it in now as someone who's left campus and not a student anymore, it's on social media. And honestly, I don't know if I would have known it was happening without it being on social media this year. And so um, it is something, one of those things that's just uniquely Auburn. It's very uh, small tradition part
Right.
of Auburn, but something that Auburn people hold really near and dear. And so I love it. It's something that I don't, beat my chest about and tell everyone like, oh, I don't throw it up there with Toomer's Corner if I'm being quite honest. But
That one,
it's
yeah.
something that if you're one of those Auburn people that you get it, and we've talked about you, people from the outside might not get it, but once you're in, you understand it's because it's part of the Auburn experience that it means something more to you.
Well, and I think you can see that it means something to people when people know exactly what to do. Like when you
Yeah.
just mentioned it, every year now on social media for E2C Network, what we've posted, let's say hey to each other, tell us where you're from, tell us your name and where you're from. And we get great response for that every single year. I mean, we got from Minnesota, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Texas, of course. We got a huge contingency in Texas, California. Just across the United States, we've gotten international ones before, and people just saying, hey, and I think that right there shows you that, yeah, listen, it's not Tumor's Corner. It's not Tiger Walk. It's not
Right.
the Eagle Flight. But if you're an Auburn person, you get it. And you understand it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think this is the coolest thing out there, that this is a thing that's much bigger than you, just say, hey, that's all it takes is literally,
Yeah.
figuratively, if you're not on campus, slap that thing on your chest. Hi, my name is so-and-so, right? Whatever name you want there, I would write out, having fun and dark horse for the Heisman. That's what I'd write out. But, you know,
Oh goodness.
can we be honest? Did you ever not write your actual name on it when you did it, or would you?
So I don't really remember writing it. Like I remember it being kind of a thing where they would have volunteers, and it was a point of let me write yours for you. Like, what is your name?
Because
My
they knew
name is
people like
this.
me would do this.
Probably so.
Yes.
And then you'd have, name tags stuck off and put on stop signs and light poles everywhere that say, "Hi, my name is having fun, Dark Horse." But um, I think it's just one of those things. I really have not thought about my heyday experiences when I was a student all that much until now. And but it is you made sure you had the name tag. Even if you thought you were too cool for school, you were going to pass by somebody on that day on campus that was going to offer you a name tag, and it was better to just say yes because you're getting that name tag stuck on you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you walk through the concourse, the main drag through the
Mm,
campus, and you just kind of
yep,
tuck your head and you try to not make any eye contact so you don't get sucked into, let me tell you about this organization, this movement
yep,
we have. But this day is one time of the year everybody, well, at least most people, bring their heads up from their iPhones
yep.
and their little iPod shuffles, if you still got those, whatever you fangled things you have these days. Because I'm an old crotchety man. Um, Believe it or not, when I was walking across campus, it was not unheard of for people to still have an iPod. Like, think about that.
There you go.
Like on heyday, walking through with an iPod, I would put that down. And
Was the main thatch concourse with the wall was that where snow days. I mean, organization days where tables out there regular. When I was in school, it was certain days were allowed when everybody was out, and that was kind of the day where you're like, "Well, I'm just going to take the long way around."
Well, it
Or
felt
was it
like it was
every
every
day?
day. I think
Okay,
it was every day. There may have been regulations to that. I don't know that everybody followed that. But
sure,
again, this is the one day where it's like your obligation. And, I think obviously students probably are like, I still tuck my head and keep going. That's fine, but I think you get an appreciation for those things once you've graduated, once you've left, and
definitely.
once you're not part of it anymore. It's something that's gonna be taken for granted. And you can see the significance of it. I mean, heck, we have a cafe, a restaurant named after it, Heyday Market now.
Good point.
That should
Very good point.
that shows you the exact reason. Now, if they really wanted to take it to the next level at Heyday Market, somebody should be standing at the door handing you a, my name is thing every time you walk in. I mean,
Oh
I don't know how
wow,
they haven't
yeah.
done that. I, I think that should be, you know what? I'm going to sign you up for that task because you're there. You need something to do with your exorbitant amount of time, right?
Yeah, right. Here, that's how we squeezed in the Austin lives in Auburn part of the episode. Is Kyle signing me up to do a volunteer job at the Heyday Market? I'm gonna walk out there with like a ton of Avery stickers and Sharpies, and then we're like, "Sir, can you please leave the leave the premises? This is not allowed here."
But then you're like, do you not understand this is the Heyday Market? You're supposed to be handing these out. Get it right. If you're gonna take the name, somebody needs to be standing at the door, the attendant, handing out the
Sir,
hi, my name is.
sir, I'd be happy to leave if you'll let me and my friend use that podcast studio right there once a week.
Yes, that's exact. I was thinking it. You said it though. That's a good thing. I'd be all for that. Hey, I will drive 2.5 hours down there and do my job if that's what it takes for us to
There
be
we
able to
go.
use that. That thing looks nice over there. We haven't talked about that a whole lot, but I have dreams about that. I'm not gonna lie. So I will hand out hokey little name tags and say hey to every single person that walks in. Probably get cussed out by a few, if
Probably.
that's what it takes. Cool tradition, very gets forgotten about a lot, but happy that it's part of our Auburn experience because it helps us
Yes.
say hello to each other and get to know each other, even those that we don't want to get to know.
That's right. Thanks for bringing that up, Devin.
That's going to do it for this show today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Auburn Experience, episode 9. If you want to hit me up on social media, you can do so at Kyle Loomis 24 or the E2C Network handle, E2C Network / well, it's underscore technically network on Twitter, but E2C Network everywhere else. That's where you can find me. Where can they find you, Austin?
Austin G. Scott, feel free to hit me up. Let me know how your heyday experiences were and how I can get an exorbitant amount of Sharpies and name tags as I post up outside the heyday market.
We'll be looking for you to do that in the future, buddy. Thank you all for tuning in today to the Auburn Experience. Till we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle, everybody.
All right, that's the show. Thanks, guys, for hanging around. We're
Fun,
going to let
fun, fun.
Austin head out unless he wants anything else to say. But
I don't think
um,
so. Yeah, I thought I saw a comment somewhere I was going to talk about, but I don't think so.
okay. All right.
But
Well,
yeah.
thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We'll catch back up with you next week.
All right, everybody. Have a good week. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right, I'm going to hang around for just a few more minutes. Let me remember to take this down this time. If you guys have a comment or question, doesn't even have to be about what we talked about here. I know we got a smaller crowd tonight. Sometimes that's good. It's funny. Sometimes the greatest thing and in some sense the worst thing about what we do is because we have such a variety of things we talk about here, it scares people off. It's like, if it's not about football, I don't want to be here, kind of thing. It's pretty sad. But if there is some certain aspect that you'd like to talk about, Debbie brought up the giveaway. Well, Debbie, I cannot give you the thing without you being the random person drawn, but we're a long way off. So the ways you can help us get to that giveaway is by helping us find other subscribers who haven't come here yet, because we got to get to 5,000 subscribers. Reminder, posting here in the live chat does not count as an entry. You must come after the fact and leave a comment, question, whatever, something that's relevant. We called it in the instructions for the giveaway, a genuine, relevant, original comment. So can't just come in there every single time and post War Eagle. don't have that be your pattern too. It needs to be something that contributes to the conversation. Devin, we were very happy to take a request. So if anybody else has a request in the future, you are more than welcome to bring that up if you'd like us to. And we are getting spammed right now. And I think I've handled all of them. I hope I have, because that is annoying. It's like they wait for the last possible second and want us to be there. Y'all are miserable, miserable people. And I know that's not nice to say, but I'm just going to say it. Devin says she had several thoughts on this. I'm guessing you were talking about the state of the program. Yeah, it's not a fun time for the football program right now, but I hope that the week has allowed us to get some of the things righted we need to as fans, but also as the football team. And hopefully kind of being back home will kickstart everything in a good way to get to a better conclusion than we've had for a start of the season. It's definitely not how I saw it going. Let's see. Talking about Harsin, if he deserves more time. However, if I were him, I wouldn't want to continue the negative. And then you got to understand from that point of view too. Linda wanted us to hire Borges. I think Borges's coaching days are done. I think he's written a book now, so I think we're best. Here's what I would say: if Auburn does make a change at the head coach or even assistant coaches, there is a part of me that would like something new. It's kind of like how, and I hate to bring this up, but politics. All these same old people we talk about on both sides. I think it's time we kind of get rid of them. Just to be honest, I don't want to rehash things that we know haven't worked as well. And not to say that Al Borges had great time here, but I think there's something to kind of trying something new and going in a different direction. That's kind of what I'm getting at with that. So not to rehash what we kind of talked about in the podcast there. I'm just kind of like, I'm good. I hated to see him leave back in the day. Yeah, I agree. He was much loved, and it's so awesome. Not just the Borges story, but what he did for the story of Jason Campbell, and just this is a story that was a lot like Bo's. Bo's didn't end the same way. Well, he's having a great senior year somewhere else, so it is similar in that sense. It kind of makes your heart warm knowing that guy really saw him as an opportunity and really stuck with him and took it. So, and then Jason Campbell is one of the most beloved figures in Auburn. There's a reason he moved back to town. There's a reason he's involved with sports there still, and the NIL collective. It makes you so happy when Borges especially helped him find his place again in Auburn. Not that he ever lost it, but sports does weird things to people. What is the name of the book? Is it The Year of the Tiger? I think Al Borges book. Hang on. Al Borges book. Deny of the Tiger, not Year of the Tiger, Deny of the Tiger, talking about how he and the Tigers were denied that year the opportunity to compete for the national title, which they should be national champions now that Oklahoma was beaten handily and USC had to vacate. That is a travesty that has not. I'm not much for going back and claiming national titles. Alabama, but I think that one, if there ever was a case to claim it, that is rightfully ours. So we should definitely do for that one. Deny of the Tiger. Yep, that was definitely the one I had. I had a Year of the Tiger for some reason, but Deny of the Tiger. So I'll have to buy that one. I recently, where is it? Oh, I can't reach it right now, but I found it. I shared this with our Booster Club members, but I found a book by former Auburn Tiger Rob Pate, A Tiger's Walk or something like that I just found at a bookstore. It's been around for a long time, but that's one that I know is supposed to be really good, so I'd check that out. What on earth is that comment about? Oh, Argentina. Okay, I got it now. He wrote, think that was the best Argentine. He meant Auburn. I've seen in 2005. Now I understand. Don't you love autocorrect? Yeah, so we've had that debate before, I think, on a live stream before. Who is better? The '05 '04 team, '05 team. No, '04 team, um, versus the 2010 team. It's a good conversation to have. It's hard to argue with the results, though. It'd be a good game. That's all I know. Who would we hire as an OC? I guess you're talking about if we made a change. Harsin wanted to hire Zach Hill, but that didn't work out, so he had to promote from within. Do you know if he had resources he needed to get someone else? Yeah, I don't doubt that he had the resources. To clarify what happened, we were going to hire Zach Hill from Arizona State. I don't remember if he was tied to it. It was just, or the program, and because of that was kind of stained. Auburn was kind of getting out from under the gaze of the NCAA at that time. Didn't want to be associated with him. He was coming. It's part of the reason that Bo, from what I was told, was planning on staying, if not the reason. They brought in Austin Davis from what was he from? I can't remember where he was from, but he was coming over, stayed for like a week and was gone. And so then you're at the point there, you've exhausted all of their options. Other OC candidates have taken jobs. You kind of do have to promote from within. I'm not even sold on the idea that we need to get rid of Keesaw or demote him right now. I think time is really the thing that's going to be on the side of other people. It's not that I think they should keep him or demote him. It's just I think time is the biggest thing, and patience is the biggest thing right now. That was the start of the rebuilding era. That's a good point, Will. I'm sorry, Debbie. There's similar. That was the start of the rebuilding towards the 2010. Was it though? Because we dropped off right before that. I don't know if that was, if you can make that correlate. I understand the point you're trying to make. That led to that, but there was a big drop off in coaching change before that. Will, listen, I'm not going to be on the Coach Prime bandwagon. If he comes to Auburn, I will obviously support him. It's very much in the same camp as like an Urban Meyer type of hire. I get the flash. I get the excitement about it. It's not going to be what solves our problems. Recruiting alone will not solve the problems, and that's the biggest selling point for him, just to be honest. And I'm not trying to like pick on Will here, but like when people make this argument for Coach Prime, they're also a lot of times I find people who make that argument are also the ones dogging us for hiring Coach Harsin, who came from not a nobody, but a lesser program. You want to hire someone from JSU? No offense to them. They're great in the level of competition they play. Aren't they like number 1 or something like that? Having game day this week. Excited for them. But that's the same thing. You can't like make that case, make fun of him from being Potatoeville, and then from Jackson, Mississippi, not make fun of that. Those two don't correlate in my mind. I thought I heard, we hear a lot of things. Remember, Devin? People will say things a lot. And I think a lot of times there is some truth to a lot of these things that we hear and we see written, but they get extrapolated and pushed. And because I know a guy that know a guy, and I can substantiate this because I know somebody, my cousin knows somebody in the athletic department. Basically, if you're reading on a message board, don't believe it until you actually see it happen. Seahawks, thank you. I knew I forgot that. Linda, I'm not even saying no to Coach Prime or Freeze. I actually would prefer both of those probably to Matt Rule. He doesn't excite me at all, but maybe he's coming. I don't know. But there are definite downsides to all of those candidates, I think. Rule to a lesser extent, but he doesn't excite me. Exhibit A, Texas A&M talking about recruiting doesn't solve everything. I mean, you're right. The problem is, and this is probably what you were wanting to talk about on Wednesday. The problem is that Chizik won a natty in the second year. Gus went one to his first. Not the expectation. There is something to that discussion point, much deeper almost, and a lot of people get offended if you have certain opinions that I have about that topic, because it sounds very elitist when I say it, but that's not what I mean at all. There's a certain, maybe I should leave that for another day. Topic for another day. But a lot of the stuff that you're seeing on social media is off of message boards too. So I knew you weren't on there, but yeah. Yeah, listen, you know me, I'm not really in the camp of entertaining these discussions until we actually make a change. But I do, if of all the names I've seen thrown out, Jeff Grimes is the only one that really would excite me in any way. But I am going to throw my support in the Harsin camp until he does something that is not worthy, and I mean like ethically, morally, of my support, something that actually genuinely hurts Auburn outside of, struggles in football, because he chose us, and I choose to choose him because of that. For now. All right, I can take final comments and questions, derogatory rebuttals, all that stuff. Post them right now. A couple reminders for you, though. If you haven't, please do check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content. You can be a channel member, you can be a Booster Club member, or right now, if you haven't, smash that subscribe button, because we are in the middle of our subscriber giveaway. Remember, come back to the live stream on the comment section, not the live chat here like you've been hanging out with, and post a comment there for another entry into the giveaway. If you can leave a comment in the comment section of every single video, you will maximize, and the ones after this date. That video spells everything out for you. That will maximize your opportunities to win. What else? Next scheduled show will be Wednesday night. Stay tuned. You never know what might happen in between. But Wednesday night will be our live call-in show where you can have an opportunity to call in. We'll just talk about anything, riff about it all, and just have fun being together about all that kind of stuff. Because I love being with you guys, because you are the best little family within the Auburn family. All right, final comments and questions. In your opinion, season players were in place, is how that happened with Chiz and Gus. Well, they were in place when Gus left too. People don't really want to see that, but they were. We chose what's being lost in the transition from Tubbs to Chiz was not a drastic change. Yes, we were changing drastically offensively, but not wholesale. We changed from Gene to Gus during the middle of a transition in offensive schemes and stuff that weren't working, which is why he ultimately got fired. That transition went back to Gus, so there was like no leeway over. We decided when we transitioned from Gus to Brian that the way it was being done, the mentality, the conditioning, the recruiting, everything wasn't good enough. Wholesale changeover. That requires time and patience. So when you talk about why it was more successful for those guys, you got to look at the whole picture and say they probably had it goes more than just like seasoned players. They had a lot more things, a lot less things, in my opinion, to overcome than Brian Harsin has had, given the fact that there was a pandemic year too. Anyway, yes, he's been around a lot. Jeff Grimes has been an Auburn guy. I actually went to church with him a couple times here at Auburn. I'm not in Auburn anymore, but at Church of the Highlands when I was a student there, and he was there. A lot of the coaches went there, so that was pretty cool. What else? Happy how we played yesterday. Didn't have any turnovers. O-line allowed 0 sacks. Way to end on a positive note, Unbeaten Lake. Love it. All right, guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart being here for the live recording and hanging out with us. It'll be available on the podcast tomorrow if you want to re-listen, or just share it out with a friend. Tell a friend to come subscribe here. Get us to that 5,000 subscriber mark so we can give away that prize package, including a signed Auburn football. Till we talk to you guys again. And, well, that'll be Wednesday, I guess. I was about to say Monday, but Wednesday, War Eagle.